Welcome to another episode of the CryptoSpendthrift podcast. As usual, going right in, CoinWatch. Not much is changing because CoinWatch isn't really, coins aren't really doing much. They're kind of stagnating. Really, Bitcoin is like hitting its stagnations around the late 3,000s, like 380, that area. I really don't expect Bitcoin to pop off until all this negativity with these big name banksters kind of slow down and this China situation kind of stabilizes more. But maybe in like a month or two we're back up to 4,500 and rocking toward 5,000. Yep. So just hang in there. If you're on the fence about the Bitcoin right now, always rebounds up. There's really no reason for it not to. We aren't really in the danger territory yet of any kind of like protocol issues. Yeah, just keep going with it. Bitcoin Cash is also kind of leveling out in 400s. I don't really care all that much for Bitcoin Cash personally, but still watching it. It's an important thing to watch the development of, since it was like divergence. And despite it kind of having way more issues than Bitcoin, yeah, we're still watching it just for when it possibly crashes and burns, or the more likely situation is when the network gets too centralized and the couple miners there predominantly in Korea. But yeah, Ethereum's rocking back up to 300. Will it ever get to that 400 again? Not anytime soon, I don't think. This update's coming soon. Talk about that later, but right now the price point of Ethereum is probably gonna be pretty tied to Bitcoin, honestly. People probably don't want to hear that, but even Ethereum, who can be traded in USD on its own, still pretty highly tied to the performance of how booming Bitcoin is. And this ICO mania of Ethereum's really calming down from the summer and not really affecting the price as much anymore. Litecoin, I don't really have much to say about Litecoin. Still watching it, still surprised by it. Will it die down to like $10 again? I'm kind of thinking that, but it probably won't happen in actuality. I don't think it's going to follow its historic happenings when it hits highs. I think it's going to level out to probably 30-ish if Bitcoin keeps falling. But I think Bitcoin's leveling out, so Litecoin will probably level out about 45, 50, something like that. Monero, isn't really changed from the last time I talked about it. I highly do expect Monero to bounce back up because it is becoming the kind of dark web coin, because it's on the way it makes the transactions anonymous is incredibly powerful. It's just you can buy anything or buy into anything or get any coin. Once you switch it to Monero, though, you have it in that one wallet, then make it tumble into another Monero wallet, and suddenly you can't track it, as far as I know. So I really expect Monero to stay strong once Bitcoin starts hauling back up, because Bitcoin and Monero is probably going to be the kind of like trade, like the two pairs that are going to trade together a lot for dark web related activities. I'm throwing a bonus for you that's not on the list. Neo, surprisingly recovering from the China fiasco. I highly expect Neo to be the one that survives this little China regulation fallout. in comparison to a lot of these other ones that are here. Neo seems like it positioned itself well enough to where China will be cool with it and not just totally destroy it legally. So on to the news. North Korea potentially circumnavigating sanctions by their Bitcoin mining operation they possibly have. It hasn't really been confirmed that North Korea has a Bitcoin mining operation, but it's highly suspected. And if they are, they're kind of circumventing all these restrictions that have been imposed on them by selling into the Bitcoin market for their mining operations. A little interesting fact, I guess. Well, this basically was kind of Bitcoin's mission to give people sovereignty, and that's kind of what it's doing. You know, Bitcoin trading volume is rivaling some of the big tech giants. It's getting up there in the billions, I believe, is what it was. Yeah, the volume's hitting billions now, and 3 billion was Apple's volume, so Bitcoin is slowly crawling its way up to 3 billion and rivaling tech giants. And that's just Bitcoin itself. The entire crypto market's obviously been bigger for a while. But yeah, crypto market's relatively closer when you add them all together, but Bitcoin itself is getting up there. 9 out of 10 Chinese ICOs have reimbursed their investors because of the latest legislation, like the legal change in China. So still kind of highlighting the issues of like uneasy ICOs in China and how some people disapprove China's plan, but I 100% agree with them in a way. A lot of these ICOs are just garbage, and their restrictions and legal changes that they're making is probably for the best. As you can see, they haven't really made any action against the obvious moneymakers, the miners. And they really haven't imposed any trading for people. They just went after exchanges and ICOs, which pretty much has the highest chance of frauding people. Miners can't fraud people, they're necessary, and they're just there. They also can be shut down at any time because they can't really move their mining equipment, so easy target if they do want to shut it down. But yeah, that's besides the point. These Chinese ICOs were required to be able to reimburse investors if investors asked for it, and most of them have. And that's the reason why I say Neo has high potential as the one who can survive this, because they were one of the first, I remember, to willingly accept to reimburse people who originally were in their crowdfunding 2 years ago or whatever it is. So next up, Ethereum, possibly centralized. Well, this is kind of clickbaity, but not really. But the Cyberfund research has found that 10.7% of the network transaction and 68% of the transactions value on the chain could be observed from a single entity through these coin mixers. So to sum up their what they found is basically a high volume of coins. Well, not really high volume, a high volume value of the coins. So, like I said, 68%. So that's majority of the network value, not like the network itself, but the value. So people are sending their own little 1 Ethereum, 2 Ethereum at a time. They're probably the rest of the network. These are little people who aren't sending hundreds of Ethereum at a time. So this entity is sending bulk loads of Ethereum and making up the bulk of the network's value from that period of time that they're observing. And their explanations for this, either it's one, an exchange that's mixing these coins, mixing this Ethereum to protect consumer identities. Two, this was kind of a U.S. specific tactic to help U.S. residents be protected from regulatory bodies. Or three, it was just a secure way for exchanges to transfer crypto assets between each other. Well, what the true answer is, who knows, but it was an interesting find from them that such majority of this value appears to be from one source. I think it probably is some kind of exchange operation that's going on. Maybe it's like a Coinbase or Bittrex or something really popular, and have loads of Ethereum that they're saving, and when they're transferring it to their cold wallets or certain wallets, they have to tumble it through to make sure people aren't just like tracking where the exchanges are putting their wallet. Well, knowing the exchange's address and maybe trying to attack it when it goes live to transfer. I don't know. But it's something to keep in mind just in case it becomes relevant in the future. Blockwater files a complaint against Jamie Dimon for violating an article in the EU's market abuse regulation for his comments against Bitcoin. So, JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon always been slamming Bitcoin recently, but this company has filed a complaint because they say he knew what he was doing when he was saying this, and he knew that the worth of the Bitcoin would be impacted from him specifically saying this, because the position of power that he holds. And also it could be considered market manipulation, because JP Morgan is in fact either investing in the technology themselves and also for their clients in some cases. So there is actually a kind of case for him to get in trouble, a little slap on the wrist, because of course it won't be more than that, but he could be in the wrong with this legally. Obviously he's in the wrong, but he might be legally in the wrong. Next up is another exchange falls to the futures option trading. Deribit algorithm failed and led to over $200,000 of crypto assets to be liquidated, unfortunately. And then Ethereum's hard fork that is postponed until October 19th. Yeah, it's postponed until around that date for the block. That's the estimation of when the block is going to occur. It was October 9th-ish, but more testing to make sure everything goes cool, which is, everyone should be happy that they're making sure that everything's good and not prematurely launching this network that could destroy a lot if it has some kind of bug in it. Wealth advisor Rainier Michael Perez believes that the reason all these high-profile CEOs, bankers, or whatever are coming out the gate is because they're afraid of Bitcoin. They're afraid of the changes that it will make and the impact. Personally, though, I think it's because either one, they're saying all this for price manipulation and to accumulate, or two, the more likely one is they're kind of saying all these things to delay adoption for it, so they have time to create their own systems for their companies using the blockchain technology, because all these companies are interested in it. Maybe they're just trying to delay time so they can have their product ready, or just give that extra time so their product's almost ready for release. And that is it for the news. On to the last section. As usual, Mentality Monday. And this is all about awareness. Piggybacking off last Thursday's topic, I'm just going to say, have awareness for what you're putting not only your hard-earned Bitcoins in, but what you're listening to. So, funny thing on Twitter, referencing Twitter again, Vitalik, I can't say his name, Ethereum man, people's been using his pictures with him kind of as authority that we're legit, we're here, but he's not actually co-signing, or he's not actually sponsoring them, saying they're good. He's not endorsing them in any way, but they're still using his picture as for authority. So just be aware of, is this for marketing tactics, or are these people for real with things? Are they serious? Is this reality? So make sure you question any kind of coin or any kind of situation that you don't hear a direct endorsement from somebody, because they could have no idea that their picture or their name is being used, when in actuality they have nothing to do with the project. So just keep that in mind. So share this episode all over social media if you want. Support the Patreon if you want. And don't forget to tune in next time on the CryptoSpendthrift podcast. Thursday. We'll see you there.